Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of The Work. I am so grateful to have you here, and I've got a very powerful one for you today. But before we get into it, just a quick clarification. In today's episode, I'm going to be using the words goals, desires, and manifesting interchangeably. They mean the same thing essentially for the purpose of this podcast, just so you're not confused. But all right, let's begin. So most people believe that achieving their goals will bring them happiness, completely unaware that their goals are the very thing creating their unhappiness. Now this, my friends, is what we are going to be exploring today, and you'll come to understand that the traditional path of working 100 hours per day, putting your nose to the grindstone and sacrificing your time and freedom is not necessary to achieve success, and most importantly, to achieve deep inner peace. Because what's the point of success if you're not able to keep your peace of mind and your happiness while trying to achieve it? I'm excited to dive in because I'm going to challenge you in the way that you see work, discipline, and goals. Now, this may make you uncomfortable, and I hope it does, because the way that I see goals and discipline and work is likely to be very different than what you're used to and what you've grown to believe is the truth. I'm going to show you that there is a better path to achieving your goals that is filled with far less resistance. You don't have to kill yourself in the process or spend every waking minute, hard at work and thinking about your goals, or you don't have to sacrifice your time and your well-being in order to achieve your biggest goals and dreams. I've been in this self-development space for many years now, and there's so many things that you hear about goals and manifestation that honestly just leave you more confused than they do empowered. Which is why I've gone through a lot, and I mean a lot, of trial and error or failures. Now, I say failures like that because I don't believe that there is such thing as failure. You either succeed or you learn a lesson, which is the same thing as success. It's just part of the journey. Anyways, as I was saying, I've had a lot of trial and errors, and I've made a lot of mistakes in trying to understand how to become successful and how to manifest and set goals and so on. So I am here to tell you firsthand that a lot of what you hear is BS, and it hinders you way more than it helps you. And actually, the most profound wisdom that you can find in regards to goals and success and happiness is found in many of these deeply spiritual, ancient texts that have been around for thousands of years, such as the Bhagavad Gita, the Tao Te Ching, the Bible, and so on. Not to mention many modern-day books that are just as powerful, such as The Power of Now, any David Hawkins books, A Course in Miracles, The Alchemist, so many more. So here are some commonly held beliefs about success and hard work that are actually false. So number 1, success requires constant work and long hours. Number 2, you have to make sacrifices in order to be successful, such as your happiness, your health, and time with loved ones. Number 3, more physical effort and doing equals more results. Number 4, success equals happiness. Number 5, you have to be constantly productive. Number 6, you must suffer in the process, otherwise it isn't meaningful or worth it. Number 7, discipline means not having fun, but rather being serious all the time. Number 8, discipline means beating yourself up if you fail or you slip up. Number 9, failure is bad and must be avoided at all costs. Number 10, you must constantly be thinking and working on your goals. There's no time for fun or to relax. And the last one, the harder the path, the better the success will feel, or the more you will feel like you earned it. Now, if any of those resonated with you, or they are your current beliefs around work and success, then you are in the right place. And hopefully by the end of this episode, you will clearly see how all of these are BS and there is a better way. So the other week, I watched a documentary on Netflix called Enigma, which is about the life and career of Aaron Rodgers. If you don't know, he's an NFL quarterback known as one of the best ever. In the documentary, he said something that essentially sums up one of the biggest problems with setting goals and having desires. And also, it shines a light on many of the core traits of the ego. Here's what he said, quote for quote. When you reach your top bucket list item, you have this one thing that you think, if I do this, my life is going to be great. Then it happens, and you think, okay, what now? This is in reference to him winning the Super Bowl. Then a few minutes later in the documentary, he says this about the years that followed the Super Bowl win. He said, I was definitely starting to look for other ways to fill that hole inside of me. And he asked himself, is this going to be the only thing I've accomplished in my life? And can I love myself if that's all I've ever done? He said that he struggled for many, many years after that, questioning who he was, why he's here, wondering if he, was more than just a football player. And after he won the Super Bowl, his life changed dramatically and was filled with so many challenges and struggles that he did not expect after winning the Super Bowl, achieving his biggest dream. Most importantly, he said he didn't begin to get any answers until he began to look within. Let's take a look at desire, which is one of the core traits of the ego. Lord Buddha said that desire is the root of all suffering. And what he meant by this was that your clinging and your attachment to your desires is the cause of your suffering. For 99.9% of people, from the moment they have a desire, the suffering begins. Let's dive in and take a look at why this is. At the root of all of your wants and your desires is the belief that the thing you desire is going to make you happy. So you desire something, and what comes with it is the fear that you won't get it. It's like a package deal. That fear then creates your anxiety, your worry, doubt, anger, and frustration, all because of the meaning that you've given to your desire, or rather your attachment to it. So when you write out your goals and you formulate your detailed steps to how you're going to achieve it, you are inadvertently creating more fear and more worry around that goal, all because your mind is projecting an illusory future in which you will have achieved this goal and then you'll be happy. Your mind, or the ego, constantly projects your happiness to some future event or time. It never allows you to be happy right now. It's always thinking, if I can just achieve this goal, then I'll be happy. If I can just earn X amount of money this year, then I'll be happy. If I can just get this promotion or my business takes off, then I'll be happy. Then I can relax. Once this and this happens, then I'll be happy. It doesn't matter what the thing is. Our mind constantly tricks us into believing this lie that the thing outside of us will bring us lasting happiness. This is exactly what Aaron Rodgers was talking about. From a young age, his big dream was to win the Super Bowl. He trained his entire life for it. He made loads and loads of sacrifices in his personal life, and whether he realized it or not, he believed that if he could just win the Super Bowl, his life would be perfect, and he would be set for the rest of his days. But what actually happened? Within moments after winning the Super Bowl, he was asking himself, what's next? And the biggest win of his life didn't fill that hole inside of him. Can you resonate with that? Has this happened to you before? Have you fallen into this trap? We are constantly hearing about athletes and professionals that are at the top of their game or the top of their field, who once they win the big game or they make all the money, they become very depressed and unhappy. They were so attached to their goal that it became their identity. So once they achieved it, they didn't know who they were or what else to strive for. So depression and unhappiness began to set in. Their ego would not allow them to be happy in that moment. It then pushes their happiness further and further into the future. This happens all the time with Olympic athletes and astronauts. Once they win the gold or complete their mission in space, they are lost. That thing they believed would bring them so much happiness and joy brought them nothing but pain and sorrow, because they forgot that life still goes on after the big achievement. It's the same thing for many business owners. They spend years and years building their company until one day they sell it for millions and millions of dollars. And even though they just made millions, they become extremely depressed. Or on the flip side, if they don't win the gold or the championship ring or go to space or have a thriving, highly successful business, they get depressed and unhappy all the same. That's the thing with goals and desires. Whether you succeed or you fail, it inevitably creates your unhappiness, all because of your attachment to that goal. You allow it to become you, to become your identity. By believing that this goal you will accomplish in the future will make you happy, it immediately causes you to resist the present moment. You are saying to yourself, I'm not happy in this moment, but once XYZ happens, then I will be. You are resisting the present moment. The worst part is that it keeps happening over and over and over again. And it becomes, if I can just win another ring, if I can just build and sell another business, if I can just go to space again, if I can just make more money, then I'll be happy. And this cycle repeats itself over and over and over again until you die. All the while, you never allow yourself time to relax or to be fully present with your loved ones or to have fun or to do the things you love to do. You work endless hours and constantly sacrifice your well-being and your happiness in the present moment, all because you believe that this thing that you will achieve will make you happy in the future. You don't allow yourself to be happy now because you believe you will be happy later. How crazy is that? Like, think about it, honestly, it's crazy. And the thing is, lasting happiness will never come in the future or from anything outside of you. Never. It can only come right now in the present moment, because this eternal present moment is all we ever have. The past and the future are created in our mind and they are not real. Yet all of our suffering and unhappiness comes from believing that they are, and we identify with them. Now, at this point in the episode, you may be thinking, geez, Ryan, this is really depressing, thanks for that. Or, okay, Ryan, so you're saying that I shouldn't strive for more, I'll just sit on the couch, I won't set goals, I won't try to better myself, I'll just watch Netflix all day. Or you might be thinking, how exactly am I supposed to just be happy right now? Like, what does that even mean? I'm going to get to all that. Now, in saying this, I don't believe that having goals and desiring things is bad. Far from it. They are a great way to push you out of your comfort zone, and they give you a sense of direction in order to find your life's purpose. But rather, as I just explained, it's your relationship to the goal that causes your unhappiness. So how can you have goals and desires yet still be happy, or rather still be at peace and in the present moment? It's through non-attachment. In the Bhagavad Gita, one of the most beautiful and profound ancient spiritual texts ever written, Lord Krishna is constantly talking about non-attachment to the fruits of your labor. To focus solely on the task at hand and surrender the results to the divine or the universe rather than obsessing, worrying, and stressing over them. This is the way to true peace and to joy and happiness, by dropping all attachments to external circumstances and things. Your mind remains calm and at equilibrium, completely unaffected by success or failure, because everything in the material world is impermanent. It will inevitably come and go. When you are able to drop all of your attachment to any outcomes, you'll find in the process that it becomes far more enjoyable. Your work becomes fun and exciting. Someone who is at peace with themselves is the creator of their life. And I mean that in the sense of they are completely unattached to the results of their actions, and therefore their actions become far more powerful. They do not obsess over the goal or the results. Whereas actions coming from a place of fear, anxiety, worry, anger, guilt, pride, and shame carry with them the negative energies of those emotions, and the person becomes obsessed with the results. These negative energies block you from ever attaining your desire, or at the very least, it is one hell of a struggle in order for you to attain it. Whereas actions coming from a place of peace and joy will bring the results not only quicker, but with far less effort. And usually, the results tend to be much better than what your initial expectations were. The actions coming from the negative energies I just mentioned will take far longer to get results with much more effort and struggle. I've spent many years of my life falling into the trap I've just described to you. I would create a goal or something that I wanted. I would put a deadline on it. I'd write out the steps I would take to achieve it and begin to take action. As soon as I started taking action and that action didn't give me the results I hoped for, I would get frustrated. I'd get worried. Then as I got closer to my deadline, the fear and the anxiety made the process so much more painful than it had to be. I'd be, saying my affirmations every day and visualizing the outcome and all this stuff you hear that you should be doing, but it wouldn't work. And then I'd beat myself up when I couldn't stay as disciplined with my actions. Then when I didn't achieve my goal, I would be overwhelmed with guilt and shame. And then on top of that, there'd be all this anger and frustration I'd feel towards myself. This happened time and time again. Like, honestly, so many times. Or if I did end up achieving my goal, just hours or days later, those happy, feel-good feelings would fade and I'd be left there wanting more and more. It was never enough. So there were these two different cycles that I would find myself going through. The first one was set a goal, chase the goal, create my suffering, achieve the goal, have brief satisfaction, new goal, repeat. Or the second one, set the goal, chase the goal, create my own suffering, fail, create more suffering, set new goal, repeat. Very similar, right? It wasn't until about 2-3 years ago when I began to notice this absolutely crazy, insane cycle I was constantly putting myself through. And then studying books like the Bhagavad Gita and many others helped me realize the insanity of this process. So if traditional goal setting leads to suffering, then what's the alternative? How can you pursue your dreams while remaining at peace and without making sacrifices? That's exactly why I created the flow state manifestation method. This method is a culmination of many things over many years, including my direct experience through trial and error and many failures. And then these deep spiritual principles that I've learned through studying books such as the Bhagavad Gita, combined with techniques I learned from different manifesting books and courses, all came together. So by taking inspired action towards your desires, while staying fully present and unattached to the outcome, you'll find that you begin to flow with life rather than against it. By surrendering and trusting rather than forcing and worrying, things will come to you much easier. Here's a quick overview of my 7-step flow state manifestation method. Number 1, desire. Get clear on what you truly want, ensuring it's coming from a place of expansion and possibility, not lack. Number 2, embodiment. Align with the energy of your desire by feeling and acting as if it's already yours. Number 3, action. Take inspired step towards the desire, but remain open to the process unfolding naturally. Number 4, release. Address any limiting beliefs or resistance that come up so that they don't block you. Number 5, gratitude. Cultivate a deep appreciation for and acceptance of the present moment, rather than waiting for the future to bring you happiness. Number 6, surrender. Surrender all outcomes and results to the divine. And number 7, trust. Move through life with faith, knowing that you are supported and that everything is happening for you. In the next episode, I'll break this down in much greater detail so that you can get a deeper understanding of this method, and then you can apply it into your life. Because I tell you, it is so, so powerful, and it'll change the way that you see goals and you see work. You'll learn how to shift from force to flow, from fear to faith, and from resistance to acceptance. Now, before I wrap this up, I want to leave you with 3 key takeaways from today's episode, and then 3 powerful questions. Number 1, achievement will never bring you lasting peace and happiness, whether it's money, success, or even winning a Super Bowl. The more you tie your happiness to the achievement, the more suffering you'll create for yourself. Your mind is constantly projecting your happiness and fulfillment into the future. Nothing external will ever bring lasting happiness. It can only be found within. You've heard me say this a million times. It can only be found within. Right now, not in the future. Number 2, the ego's need for gain creates suffering. By constantly craving for more and more, the ego pulls us into this endless cycle of suffering. By believing that we need something in order to become happy, fulfilled, or at peace, we immediately become anxious, worried, and fearful that we won't get it. Or if we do get it, we're fearful of losing it. Number 3, non-attachment is the path to peace and prosperity. The ancient wisdom found in these sacred texts show that surrendering all actions, outcomes, and results to the divine allows us to let go of resistance and flow through life with ease and joy, opening the doorway for our desires to come to us without a struggle. Now, here's 3 questions for you to reflect on until the next episode. Number 1, how would it feel to pursue a goal with ease and flow rather than fear and worry? Number 2, where in your life do you currently tell yourself, I'll be happy when? I'll be happy once I get this. Number 3, what's one big goal or desire that you currently have that you've already attached your happiness or freedom to it? Thank you so much for listening today. I hope I was able to challenge you and able to expand your thinking and make you a little uncomfortable. I'm so grateful to have you here. Honestly, I can't thank you guys enough for being here and allowing me to do what I love and to help you. I do not take your attention for granted. Please keep an eye out for part 2 of this episode, where I will break down each step of the flow state manifesting method in much greater detail. Now, if this episode resonated with you and you are sick of the struggle and the burnout you feel while pursuing your goals, and you would like to bring more ease and flow and peace into the process, I invite you to work with me one-on-one. In my coaching, I help people just like you shift out of force and resistance and into aligned, effortless flow. If you're tired of chasing success and never feeling fulfilled, let's change that together. Send me an email at theworkwithryan@outlook.com and we'll see if we're a fit. Please reach out if you have any questions or comments from today's episode. Remember, you are far more powerful than you could ever imagine. And I'll see you next time on The Work.